Welcome to week 6, everybody, and if you're new here, hi, welcome to This Cat Can Ball, the show where we feature one player who's largely been unknown due to either riding the bench for a while, being drafted late, or in some cases, not even drafted at all. But they decided to show up this week, and we're going to give them their moment in the spotlight. So, week 6 is now in the books. We are a little over a third into the season. The 17 games has got me a little messed up. It used to be easy to tell when we're a quarter through, halfway through, but now it's a little different. Let's talk about who's starting to become real contenders now, because the first few games of fluctuating between who's actually showing up and who's just randomly having a good start to the season is starting to settle in now, and we're getting some real contenders. The Cardinals are still the top team, 6-0, and this is without their head coach. They won pretty decisively, too. Cliff Kingsbury, the Pride of New Braunfels, their head coach was out due to medical protocols. You know why. 2020. They still won just fine. Kyler Murray, if you ask me, is still the front runner for MVP. The way he's leading that team, the way he's doing so much for that team. Some of the other teams that we expected to do well are still doing great. Packers, Ravens, Buccaneers. They are all respectively 5-1, looking great. Another 5-1 team that is showing to become a real contender now in the NFC, the Cowboys. The Cowboys are probably one of the most polarizing teams in all of sports, I think. There's not many people that are moderate on the Cowboys. You either love them or you hate them, both with a passion. They are 5-1. They have probably the best defensive back in the league. He could be a contender for Defensive Player of the Year. He has 7 interceptions in 6 games. And the one he had against the Patriots that's going to be one of the best plays of the season, I think, already. After week 6, that's going to be like one of the top 5 plays of the season. Also, in the other conference, the Bengals are looking great at 4-2. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. The LSU connection is incredible so far. Jamar Chase, I was talking about how Trevon Diggs might be up for Defensive Player of the Year. Jamar Chase in Cincinnati I think is going to get Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's usually a quarterback, which is, well, like I've talked about in previous episodes, they get thrust into the starting job, and we've been fortunate enough as fans to where they usually swim instead of sink. But in this case, Jamar Chase is doing so well. The LSU connection is young, and it's already hitting its stride. It's going to be great for at least a decade, I think. All right, so we talked about the undefeated, the teams that are great, some teams that are showing to be true contenders. Now there's some head scratchers, Kansas City and Buffalo. They played last year in the AFC Championship game. Everyone kind of went into the season thinking they're going to be, again, a dominant force in the conference. The Chiefs are leading the NFL, not in turnovers, but in giveaways. Patrick Mahomes has 8 interceptions. That is, if I'm not mistaken, 3 more than he had all season. He might just be going through a bad funk. Every quarterback has had these just funks that they go through. Brett Favre, he's got every record, including most interceptions, so you gotta take a little bit of the good with the bad there. Now, Buffalo, with their starting quarterback, Josh Allen, he was considered to be one of the top runners for MVP. Now, maybe not so, because I think Dak Prescott is now vaulted up into the top 3 contention for MVP. The Bills are 4-2 right now, which is still good, but you gotta think about those 2 losses. One of them was to Pittsburgh, and a lot of people are already writing off Pittsburgh. They're thinking, Big Ben, he's not, on his way out. He is done. Steelers assigned him to a contract, so they just, I guess they're looking to honor and give him his swan song, right? But they beat the Bills in week 1. And you look at this loss to Tennessee, and granted, Tennessee's a good team. They have the best running back in the NFL, hands down, maybe not, but he was definitely the best this past Sunday. Put up 3 touchdowns, 100-plus yards easily on them. They chose to go for a win and went for it on a 4th and short. Didn't get it, which sealed the win for the Titans. A lot of people said, well, they could have just gone for the field goal, pushed the game into overtime, and then see how it goes from there. But they played aggressive, and it didn't work out for them. As much as sports writers are going to comment back and forth about how, yeah, well, you got a big, strong quarterback like Josh Allen, and sometimes it just doesn't work out that he went off center on that quarterback sneak as opposed to going over the top like some people thought. There's all these little nuances you can talk about, but at the end of the day, can't look at it and say, you know what? You're right. Josh Allen is really good. We're going to give the Bills the win. No, they're still 4-2. Speaking of head-scratching plays, Baker Mayfield, another young gunslinger, great quarterback for the Browns. They are 3-3, and he's just not in the habit of making that great decisions. I mean, granted, he makes great plays, but he also makes some bonehead plays, and he gets himself injured. So much so that he's not going to play in week 7. Granted, I know that sometimes you want to get out there and try to make up for a mistake you did, especially when it's on the same play. Like in one instance, he throws an interception, and he actually makes the play, but it ends up being a pretty costly decision because he gets injured on the play. Like, you want to congratulate his efforts, right? But it's one of the situations where, like, I don't know if you've ever seen Major League where there's this one moment where Willie Mays Hayes makes that basket catch and then the manager tells him,
"Nice catch, Hayes. Don't ever fucking do it again."
Yeah, it's kind of like that. That's the way I would feel talking to him. Like, good effort, man, but don't ever do that again. You are our franchise player. We have so much invested in you. And if you look at that play again, he had 4 other players around him. I mean, I know he just had adrenaline going through his veins. He wanted to make something happen, but still, think about long term. Think about the next play. Still, there's something to be said for putting up your best effort, even if you don't win. One of the players, he's actually didn't win the award this week, but he was a contender. I thought about was the Houston Texans punter, Cameron Johnston. He had 5 punts, and that game, I'm not even going to talk about it too much. The Colts just kicked their ass, 31-3. But the Texans punter had 5 punts. 4 of them were inside the 20, which is pretty great. That's what a punter's supposed to do. That's a touchdown pass in punterland. And what's great about that from, punters, you're never going to hear them that much. There are guys that have made the Pro Bowl for years on end. You still don't even really know who they are. First off, they don't get drafted very much, right? But the thing about these punts was that it shows that he definitely did his part. The Colts had to put up some really big drives. Had to put up a 92-yard scoring drive, and then later on in the game, an 88-yard scoring drive. And at one point, I think it was about 40 or 50-some yards to kick a long field goal. They had a lot of ground to cover because of this punter. He's doing his job. He's like, I'm pinning these guys back for you guys. He's talking to the defense. I'm helping you out. I'm doing my part. I got them way back there in the 20, and they're still bringing it all the way back, so that one's not on me. But doing your job for a team that doesn't win still segues us into the winner this week, who is Keith Taylor, cornerback of the Carolina Panthers. He's a rookie, 5th-round pick out of Washington. Washington has a decent pedigree. It's, of course, the alma mater of everybody knows Warren Moon. Anyways, Keith Taylor came off the bench earlier this season. He didn't really get any action until last week. I think he had 3 tackles. Pretty decent, right? But this week he goes up against Minnesota, and he has his work cut out for him. I mentioned earlier in the year one of the cats that won, KJ Osborne. He's the Vikings' 3rd receiver behind Thielen and Jefferson. They also have Dalvin Cook coming out of the backfield to catch passes. That's a good passing game to go up against as a rookie corner. He did his part. He had 10 tackles. All of them were solo. He didn't get any, chipped shoulders in there from linebacker or, got a trip up on an assisted tackle. No, he got 10 all by himself and 3 defense passes, which is the defense pass is something that it's technically credited as a stat, but you'll rarely see it. Normally, they don't even call it on play-by-play. They'll just call it an incomplete pass, or they may even just credit it as a drop. But when you're defending passes against these guys, like I said, so many great players coming out of the backfield or off the sides, that's a lot to expect out of a rookie. And a rookie who's thrust into the starting lineup because obviously he didn't start the season as the number 1 or number 2 corner that you would have on the starting lineup. So he comes in as a rookie, making 10 solo tackles, 3 pass defense. He even had a forced fumble. It wasn't a lost fumble. Vikings did recover, but he forced a fumble on Dalvin Cook. He's one of the most elusive backs in the game. He's definitely a top 5 player. He's a 1st-round fantasy pick. I guarantee you, anybody who's watching this who played fantasy, you probably wanted Dalvin Cook. But anyways, for a rookie 5th-rounder to come in, go up against a good offense like that, I mean, they put up a lot of points. The Vikings put up 34 total points to win that game, but it's not for lack of effort on Keith Taylor's part. You look at this 5th-round rookie who's not even a starter, you can say,
This cat can ball, man.
So that's going to wrap up the show this week, folks. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you do, make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Interaction is always the best way I'm going to get better at this. This show comes out every week, a little bit after the week has wrapped up. So make sure to also click the bell. You'll be alerted when they come out. This will wrap it up for week 6. Hope you guys enjoyed it again. One more time, like, subscribe, comment. I am Omar, and I will see you guys next week.